This is a more compact PC you can use for AI, gaming, or as a workstation. That's the pitch of the Infplane Hilbert and is possible thanks to AMD's Ryzen AI Max chip. Design-wise, the Hilbert looks basically like a Steam machine, although its much more powerful hardware is better suited for AI enthusiasts considering the price tag. This small form factor PC is a mostly metal box with nice build quality and comes in at just under 8 liters in volume, which is much bigger than the Steam machine's 3.8 liters. Infplane has thrown in AMD's Ryzen AI Max Plus 395, a crappily named but very powerful all-in-one chip with 16 cores, 32 threads, and the most impressive integrated graphics to date, with the Radeon 8060S rivaling discrete mobile GPUs. This chip is cooled by a 140mm AIO liquid cooler, which after extensive testing, I can say does a very good job at keeping temps under control. Apart from the Hilbert, you get a HDMI and power cable, a couple wireless antennas, and screws. Infplane is launching this unit through Kickstarter, although the hardware itself is finished, and the first 200 units will be available for $2,999 which includes a 2TB SSD and 128GB of soldered LPDDR5X 8000 RAM, with up to 96GB of it able to be used as VRAM, making it perfect for AI model deployment. Yep, this is a high-end config with a high price to match. The front features a power button, USB 2, Type-C data only, and 3.5mm audio jack. Inside is a Qualcomm Wi-Fi 7 card for wireless and Bluetooth. The back has dual USB 2, DisplayPort, HDMI, dual USB 3, dual USB 4, a Realtek 2.5GB and Marvel 10GB LAN jack, and another 3.5mm audio. The Hilbert uses a standard IEC power cable for the included 1U 400W platinum efficiency power supply. I was hoping this PC wouldn't be hard to open, and it isn't, as long as you have a hex-headed screwdriver to remove the screws. For the price, I think they should have included it in the box. Anyway, the two metal panels come off to reveal what looks to be an ITX board. On the back of the unit, we can see the included 1U power supply, and there's a 2.5-inch SATA slot for an extra storage drive. The 140mm AIO liquid cooler is mounted up top, and the included M.2 2TB NVMe Gen 4 SSD is found on one side, while a second M.2 slot is available above the M.2 wireless card. Infplane lists one of the M.2 2280 slots as Gen 5, while the other is Gen 4. There are some additional connectors available, but if you're buying this, I'd assume you'll use it as is, or add more storage at most. After firing up the Hilbert, I was greeted with Windows 11 Pro in Chinese. Changing the region and adding English only helped a little, with Pinyin still being the main language. I'm hoping buyers will be able to choose their region beforehand. Anyway, worse than this is the pre-installed software found on my review unit. Infplane Clean looks like some kind of scene pirate software from back in the day, and gives me no confidence. Apparently, it's meant to optimize the performance of the system. I wouldn't use it just based off the look of the interface alone. But the bigger problem is that Windows Defender was going crazy, showing threats being blocked left and right. Even if it is a false positive, which is a possibility, this is completely unacceptable. I'll link a video on how to install Windows 11 from scratch at the end of the video if anyone comes across this review with the same problem. The other pre-installed app is Infresearch, which is likely software that lets you download and use various AI models. I say likely because I couldn't get the SMS to send to create an account, since it gave an error that there's no credit. I guess with the Hilbert not being officially out yet, this service isn't up and running. In any case, these should have been manual downloads off their website. So after installing a clean Windows, we have a nice, powerful box. As always, I also tested Ubuntu, which worked fine and is another option. Okay then, let's hit the benchmarks. While this chip has a configurable TDP, Infplane has set it to the maximum out of the box. And since we have looked at a mini PC with the same CPU, we've got a comparison point. This list has mini PCs that use mobile CPUs that pair with or have been paired with a discrete graphics card, or in the case of the CPU found in the Hilbert, perform at a discrete level. Starting with Cinebench single core, the Hilbert performs similarly to the other 395 chip, and overall it's one of the fastest on the chart. In multi-core, it really shines. That AIO liquid cooler does much better keeping the CPU cool than what we saw in the Evo X2, and puts the Hilbert as the fastest result here. Geekbench single core matches up with the other score, and again, the Hilbert wins the multi-core benchmark and is far ahead of the Evo X2, although it just beats the Asus ROG NUC. Now we know the Evo X2 had a poor result in video encoding. The Hilbert beat it by around 20 seconds. I found this so odd that I double checked both, and yep, it's correct. There's something wrong on the Evo X2 side. The much longer AV1 encoding test shows the liquid cooler helping to win out against the Asus ROG NUC for first place, while the Evo X2 is doing poorly again. There's also a nice improvement over the Evo X2 when using the AV1 hardware encoder on the iGPU together with a CPU to speed things up. Geekbench AI CPU has a Hilbert with almost identical scores to the Evo X2, while the GPU result is better, especially in half precision. The NPU is not tested as Geekbench AI only supports Intel NPUs, and I don't see the point in comparing only one brand. Infplane's Hilbert does very well in the graphics test, coming out ahead of the Radeon 7600M XT discrete GPU in Firestrike. It does lose out to the RTX 4070M in TimeSpy, and beats the 7600M XT in Steel Nomad Lite. Overall, a powerful chip, and thanks to the massive VRAM limit, you can deploy plenty of different AI models right at home. As a gaming machine, it's impressive considering it's using integrated graphics. You'll get high frame rates in esports titles. Most AAA games play no problem. I'm showing all games with no upscaling. Emulation is good too. You can also add an eGPU using the USB 4 port for more graphics performance, but it's not the best use of this box. Overall, it's not exactly a good bang for buck gaming machine, but the option is there. When it comes to compiling code, the Hilbert is the fastest and easily outpaced the Evo X2. Strangely, it did a bit worse than the Evo X2 in Adobe Photoshop, but it's a small difference. In Adobe Premiere, the Hilbert did better, and it's a decent option for a video editing workstation. The included Chinese branded Gen 4 NVMe drive did pretty well, and isn't too far off the other brands tested. We saw when opening the unit that the SSD did not have a heatsink. The airflow from the AIO cooler is not enough to keep the temp down. 79C is too high for the drive. I recommend Infplane add a heatsink to it before it goes out to backers. Bluetooth range isn't amazing, but it's decent at around 6 meters or 19.5 feet. You can probably extend it with longer antennas than the very short ones provided. Wireless worked fine at 12 meters or 39 feet from the router using the 5G band. Idle power draw is up over the Evo X2. The AIO liquid cooler is likely the main cause. The maximum is also up by over 10% over the Evo X2's maximum. Something I was impressed with was that the CPU temp held under 85C, which is far better than the Evo X2. And since this chip has an iGPU, we have the same result for the GPU side. Idle fan noise is higher than what we see with most mini PCs, but the low pitch of the 140mm fan makes it less noticeable. Fan noise under load is far better than the Evo X2, which struggled with cooling. However, the fan does ramp up and down under load. It's not terrible, but a more consistent fan curve would be nice. The Hilbert is ginormous compared to the mini PCs we look at, coming in at almost 3 times the volume of the Evo X2. The delete key on startup will get you into the BIOS. Infplane says on their webpage you can increase the RAM speed to 8533, but when I go into AMD CBS, UMC common options, and into the timing configuration, the max available in the manual setting is 8000. AMD themselves state 8000 as the limit. In NBIO common options, you can set the VRAM configuration from the available memory pool. By default, it's set to 64GB. 96 is the maximum. FCH common options has the AC power loss option. SMU common options has the power limit configuration. The Hilbert is set to the maximum 120 watts by default. There's also an overclocking option, and that's about it. Alright, let's go over all the points on my checklist. Mini PC or not, it's still relevant. Infplane's Hilbert has a nice metal case, and I'm impressed by the build quality. It's pricey and no bare bones option is available, but there is a compact power supply inside it. No mounting or USB-C PD option here, but you do have USB 4 ports and dual LAN, one which is 10 gigabit. It's easy to open with the right tool, has a maximum memory speed out of the box, 3 storage options, no replaceable RAM, and the OS I received wasn't clean. Performance is very good, as is CPU cooling, but the lack of a heatsink on the NVMe is a letdown. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi work fine. Idle and load fan noise is better than most, and it passed the audio latency test for audio production. I have no idea if there will be BIOS updates, driver downloads, or a longer than 1 year warranty. That's something you'll need to ask Infplane, as I had plenty of questions, but the answers did not come in time. There's no external CMOS reset, so you'll need to open it up to access it. One oddity I've noticed is that as soon as you plug in the power cable and into a wall socket, the fan on the power supply will turn on and just keep running. Also, while the power supply should be easily enough to replace if it ever goes faulty, will the AIO liquid cooler be offered for sale for that day when the pump fails? It looks to be custom with a short loop, and a regular 140mm AIO would be tough to fit in this box, if not impossible, due to the much longer tubes. Unfortunately, I don't have one to test. Anyway, that's some things to think about. The Hilbert performs really well, the hardware is good, the software is not, and this is the first Steam Machine type box I've looked at, so that was fun. If you're interested, I'll link to the Infplane page in the video description, and as promised, here's the link to the video on how to install a clean copy of Windows on your PC. Cheers!